Sorry, I'm just figuring this out right now. I'm going to run through the whole card here in a second. Just give my quick thoughts. Sorry, I'm just figuring this out right now. All right. See if I can tweet out a link. The idea here would be anybody could fire off a question in the chat, and I'll get to that first. And other than that, just go through the whole card. So let's see. As soon as I can find some way to view the chat, I'm going to start going here. Am I live on X is the question. All right, I see a few people coming in here. If you guys have any questions, I'll get to that stuff first. I think I figured out a way to view the chat on my phone here. So other than that, I'm going to start at the bottom of the card unless anybody wants to interject. So, all right. Okay, yeah, I got a couple people in the chat. What's up, guys? All right. First fight, Clayton Carpenter versus Tagir Ulanbekov. So I was really close to laying the chalk here on Tagir. As we speak, the line's actually blowing out. It looks like it's now minus 400 at BetOnline. So yeah, serious steam on Tagir. I just don't rate Clayton Carpenter as an athlete generally. That's kind of what it boils down to. I don't really think he's got much upside in the UFC at all. Okay, here I can even show comments. This is sweet. What's up, guys? Islam ITD is free as it seems. I like the KO. I think I like the KO here. I felt I can't really get to. Let me see what the current pricing is on these props. Last I checked, it was submission was near pick'em or even past pick'em. 1 second. Let's see. Makhachev by knockout is plus. Oh wow, it's all the way down to plus 125. If you're betting from a market perspective, Makhachev knockout is a must play. Like it's plus 125 at BetOnline, plus 165, plus 175 at the domestics. Makhachev sub at minus 110 a lot of these books. Yeah, that doesn't really sit right with me, to be honest, guys. I kind of think knockout should be favored here just stylistically. Obviously, he could beast mode through any of these jiu-jitsu guys like he did to Moises, but I kind of think it's more of like a positional thing or even on the feet. There's, for anybody with FanDuel, there's a, let's see. Yeah, good call, Liam. That's definitely better. At FanDuel, you can get most significant strikes and Islam money line at like better than minus 180 right now. I think that's quite good. I mean, Islam's so defensively sound everywhere. I think he's going to land on the feet. Yeah, I kind of think it's like a Islam mid to late rounds knockout. So maybe you guys could have fun with the same game parlay, something like doesn't start 5, Islam knockout, Islam most strikes, something like that. You can probably get some pretty crazy numbers. I know I've been getting it. Yeah, club and subs definitely live. Yeah, I mean, he's even just so much stronger. He could just do what he did to Moises. So I'm not keeping that out of the question. I'm not going crazy on that. But yeah, back to what I was saying about Tagir Ulanbekov. I think it could potentially be good chalk here. Clayton Carpenter plays off his back. I think he's the inferior striker. I look at like just the total trajectory of these guys' careers. Like I think Tagir could potentially be a top 10 guy, and there's just no world where Clayton Carpenter's that. So yeah, if this isn't the spot for Clayton Carpenter, it's coming. Well, I mean, if this isn't the spot for Clayton Carpenter, then he's a lot. I need to reevaluate how I handicap him. But yeah, I was thinking I was going to get like minus 250, something like that. And by the time I finished my research and the market settled, it was already past there. So, okay. So yeah, like the chalk. Next one, I like, okay, Sapaj versus Tercios. I kind of think, let's see, what's the price on the GTD here and the over? Minus 170 over 2.5. I don't hate that. I think if you're going to play, because I think it's pretty limited to a Sapaj knockout. I think. I think I rate Tercios as a pillow fist guy on the feet. He's really scrambly. He's tough to hold down. I don't really think Sapaj would be smart to grapple here, although he might. Yeah, maybe this is going to play out closer. I could see Tercios pumping volume, Sapaj maybe slowing a bit, and this plays into a close decision possibly, and you cover all that with the over. You're just essentially fading the Sapaj left hook, which, yeah, I haven't done it, but that's the way I would go if I'm playing this one for sure. See what you guys are saying. To your decision. Yeah. I mean, Clayton does have some good hardware. He's durable. He's got a good chin. He's got solid jiu-jitsu, which usually leads to some decent survivability. So I don't hate that thinking, especially if you can still get that when the line's blowing out like this. That's probably pretty good. What's up, Jake? Decision or sub, I think, is live. Ricky. Yeah. If he's subbed, I might be pretty surprised, but yeah, I guess it's live. Ricky's not the worst jiu-jitsu player in the world. So yeah, I'm leaning overs there, guys. Both fairly durable guys, both their game. Sapaj knockout could happen, but I think that's pretty much the way it would happen. All right, next one, Rinya versus Muin Gafurov. This is a pretty clear dog or pass for me. I don't really view Nakamura's game as being so well put together that he can justify these minus 700s against someone like Gafurov. Isn't terrible. He's good everywhere. Trains with Merab. Seems like he's kind of been starting to figure out his gas tank a little bit. He gassed out in a few of those fights, but now he seems to be able to kind of, he throws hard with everything. It's kind of like what Merab's trying to do, where he's trying to throw everything with 100% power, the low kicks, the overhands, and they just kind of overwhelm your senses. Maybe mix in some takedown attempts there too, chain it together, takedown into the shots, back and forth. It's tough when he can keep the pace for sure. And I bet him against Kyung Ho Kang, and I was pretty happy with his performance. So yeah, I mean, I could see him somehow scrambling enough to force some volatile exchanges near the end of the rounds and sneaking out a split decision. I don't think that's out of the question here. It could get greasy if it does go. I mean, I'm saying all this. Maybe Nakamura just holds him down and destroys him, or comes out looking like Mike Tyson left hook. That's what the market suggests. So I'm clearly not so convicted that I'm willing to step in the way of the market here. But yeah, I lean Muin. What's Rinya decision versus his finish here? Yeah, I don't see any value on that for sure. I mean, Nakamura could definitely knock him out. But I lean the decision, and the prices all reflect that. So nothing really there for me. Thoughts on De Ridder Holland? All right, I'll skip ahead to that one. Yeah, I kind of agree with you, man. I think De Ridder not getting a submission on the mat is really live here. Like pretty much everybody at 185 who's tried to grapple Kevin Holland has been able to grapple Kevin Holland. But if you watch the tape on De Ridder against Gerald Meerschaert, I mean, anybody with two eyes could see that he's getting teed off on by GM3 of all people. So it's just hard to imagine that Holland doesn't land his straight right at some point. I kind of think it's he, not just because he's a big awkward Dutch guy, but he does kind of remind me a bit of Dricus du Plessis, just in the sense that it looks so awkward, it's so goofy, but he's getting to his spots, and once he does get there, he's pretty damn effective. So I think he's a good jiu-jitsu player. I think his cardio checks out. I mean, subbing GM3, the king of the round 3 sub in round 3, that means something to me. So yeah, he's super liable to get sniped here early and die. But yeah, I lean to Ritter personally, just because that grappling upside, man, he could potentially cover a big price versus I feel like any Kevin Holland win is still going to look like it had a lot of variance involved. Shout out Dan Levy, man. I was going to go to visit Dan Levy at his jiu-jitsu gym in Atlanta, but it doesn't look like it's going to work out for me just with the location of my hotel and whatnot. But good dude. Shout out Dan Levy. Fight doesn't go to decision in Rinya fight. Yeah, I don't know. I think about that one both ways, and I keep flipping back and forth, man. Like I could see it going the distance and getting sweaty. I could also see Rinya chinning him and covering his price tag. So yeah, not really sure. Yeah, he's probably on the sauce, man. Yeah, that's a good point, Liam. That's a good point. GM3's jiu-jitsu is not bad at all. He's got, he's really credentialed. He's done a lot, really accomplished in the division. So doing what he did to him is nothing at all. All right, next one, Karol Hosa versus Aylin Perez, man. So I can understand why people like Hosa, just in the sense that cardio dynamics really clear. Calf kicks are going to be free. She's clearly the better striker. So as far as who's going to land the significant shots on the feet, I think it's Hosa outside of like a meme spinning back fist from Aylin Perez. But at the same time, it's like when the last time somebody tried to grapple Karol Hosa, she went against one takedown attempt from Norma Dumont, the judo toss. And granted, she popped up pretty quickly. She got in a hip, dug an underhook. She did everything you'd want to see there. But outside of that, she's literally not faced any takedown attempts since she fought Sarah McMahon. And she sat on her back for 20 or 10 minutes, literally over 10 minutes. She was laying on her back, just playing guard, not showing any hope of getting up. And granted, that's Olympic wrestler and all that. I get it. But still, I personally, for my process, would have to to lay this chalk, the 70% price. I would need to see some real improvement there in her get up game. And just one takedown off of a awkward judo toss, get up against Norma isn't enough for me to really sell it. She likely got better. It's been a really long time since we've seen her need to grapple defensively, but yeah, I would need to see it more. So there's a world here where Aylin Perez lands 6 takedowns and, wins a 30-27. Like that wouldn't completely shock me. And honestly, I think Aylin's probably the A side here. I don't think the UFC particularly cares much about Karol Hosa. And if you look back in hindsight on every single Aylin Perez fight, she's been the A side, even down to her trying to get matched up with the likes of Zara Farron. So yeah, dog or pass for me. Maybe a little bit of Aylin Perez. Just refer to wrestle. Maybe you can get off live even with Karol Hosa. There could also be a really good chance to bet Karol Hosa live at chalk. If she starts stuffing a couple takedowns and getting her calf kick going, then it's probably going to get really ugly really quick. And Karol Hosa will start to kind of pull away. So that could totally be a thing here. Maybe live betting Karol Hosa as well. All right, Hill Prochazka. I lean Yuri here, guys. Just once Yuri gets rolling, I don't really, nope, we really haven't seen anybody survive it. Like once he gets into his flow and he actually starts gaining momentum on these guys and landing his cheaps and getting into his game and just getting people to slow down a little bit, nobody really survives that. Now he definitely could get bonked early. Jamal's the better defensive guy. I mean, they kind of do similar things, right? They're trying to both overwhelm you with volume and get you out of there with strikes. Like that's ultimate. So we're going to see who's kind of better at doing the same game plan. I tend to think Yuri's just kind of built different, just crazy recoverability, crazy cardio, really great strength of schedule. You know he's going to fight for your money every single time. So yeah, I think to get involved in a fight that's this volatile between guys who are so high level, I probably would want something closer to like plus 130. Just so I can feel like in a coin toss scenario, I'm like solidly plus EV because there's a really good chance this is a coin toss. But yeah, I lean Yuri, not just because the dog price tag, but I just lean Yuri in general in the fight. Tasty. All right, you want the winner? You're gonna parlay Tagir Ulanbekov, and I'll jump into Jilton Almeida right now. That's your bet. A little two-legger chalk action. Throw in Makhachev the third leg if you want. Because Jilton, this Spivak, first off, smells like a fraud, always has, but he plays so much guard. He's willing to lay on his back at heavyweight. I was kind of impressed against Oleinik. Just that's like a pretty good slitness test for heavyweight grappling, just to kind of see where you're at. How much of a dumbass are you? Are you Jared Vandera, or do you have some grappling chops? So yeah, he passed that test, but ultimately I think someone this athletic like Chilton, the way he was able to throw my guy Curtis Blades on his butt that number of times, like I don't think Spivak's going to stand up 6 times like Derek Lewis did. I think Spivak has a lot more quit in him, and yeah, I think he's going to. I kind of think under 1.5 could be good here too. I could see. I expect Jilton to kind of run straight through him. So, yeah, and I just think he doesn't have that meme survivability that someone like the Black Beast does, where he can just be too strong and buck out at the right times and survive 25 minutes. I think if he gets on top of Spivak, he probably finds his way to a TKO or a rear naked choke. So there's your 2-legger, Steve. Bakoyev Reese. So I've kind of been a Reese guy in general. I famously bet him really big against Cody Brundage and had the community dunk on me for him getting slammed on his head. I, in hindsight, would do it again. I would fade Cody Brundage with this guy. I think he's good enough to kind of eliminate those absolute bottom tier of middleweights. But Bakoyev, I don't think is like a bottom tier middleweight. I think he's, a tough guy from a really tough part of the world, and his game's fairly well put together. I think he's gotten better. And Reese is really willing to play jiu-jitsu off his back and hasn't shown a hell of a lot of, willingness to get up. So he kind of wants to play off his back, go for arm bars. In general, playing jiu-jitsu off your back, unless you're some ADCC champion at this weight class, is a bad idea, especially against a guy named Bakoyev or any Russian for that matter. So yeah, I think Bakoyev wins a decision. Let's see, what's the Bakoyev decision prop? I remember it kind of being interesting. A lot of these bets I'm calling out to you guys, I'm going to throw a few dollars on myself just for entertainment purposes, but none of these on this card are worth big positions. I like to bet on like double-digit ROI spots. A lot of these are little, maybe small edges, so I'm not exactly throwing down massive dollars. Bakoyev decision. There we go. Plus 200. Plus 225. I don't hate that, man. I don't hate that. He could knock out Reese, but I kind of expect him to top time this guy. Striking defense to survive through. Survive against Carol Hosa is a pretty low bar, right? Who has Carol Hosa ever finished? She just is allergic to finishing people. She refuses to do it. So maybe she gets her round 3 finish here, and everybody can parade the tickets finally. Everybody's been chasing that elusive Carol Hosa finish. I wouldn't completely shock me to see it come late here. But yeah, I think she can survive. Holland, yeah, it's going to be a meme fight. The first minute is going to be chaos. Picks for the 4 Dagestan fights, including Usman next week. Is Usman fighting? I haven't been. I don't even know. You guys have to tell me in the chat who Usman's fighting. I was not aware of that at all. The Dagestanis, I already said Tagir. Just quick picks. I'll break it down a little bit more here in a couple minutes, but Umar, I guess I have to outright pick Umar, but I'm not betting him at this price. I'm going to be looking for some sort of Merab live bet potentially if Umar shows some sort of human cardio, but yeah, I'm going to go pick cousin Umar. I think just his striking is better, and it's going to be hard to hold him down. And then, yeah, obviously I'm picking the minus 1,500 Islam Makhachev. Does Bogdan's skills cover the dude? I don't think so, man. I don't rate this guy as a minus 400, minus 300 in the UFC, really. I would like to have seen this guy, Billy Alakana, show some sort of initiative to try and actually win rounds and win a fight. Like, who was it? Campbell on the regional scene. I was watching that fight. I kind of thought he lost the fight. He didn't do a whole hell of a lot to win the rounds. He'll be way more skilled than a guy, way more athletic, and just not really assert himself. I'm not sure what I'm going to do if I put any real money on this, but I lean goes the distance at this price. Actually, guys, as sick as that sounds in the head, plus 275. Billy Alakana is a GTD machine in my book. Like, this guy, he's a Samoan with a Samoan brick head. He's going to want to sit on his back foot, throwing feints, throwing jabs, throwing calf kicks, feinting the calf kick. He's not necessarily someone who's going to come crash in the pocket looking to cause chaos. So it's all on Bogdan to push the pace here. And I mean, most of Bogdan's finishes are against absolute jobbers, right? So it's not like he looked good in his last fight, and I have to kind of rate that against Span. That's a legit win, but still damn, I'm losing track of the chat here. Okay. But yeah, no, I don't think he covers. I lean the GTD, and I even lean the dog on the money line. So maybe that's a fun DGen sprinkle. I'm not sure what it's referring to. Paul Hughes. Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know. I haven't researched it. I have to check it out. Is he the lock of the week? Oh, that's probably a troll. Paddy Hughes for win for Ireland, but I'm biased. Okay, we're talking the promotions. Rosa Diego ITD parlay. Dear God, bless your soul, man. That is degenerate. Action book. Oh, I'm gonna book some GTDs in the book of VB. Tune into the space to see. Alakana decision, dude. I like that. I'm sure it's a crazy. I'd have to check to see if it's worth betting that over the plus 275 GTD, because I don't think it's impossible that Bogdan just bullies him to a decision, like nearly knocks him out multiple times, but the Samoan chin prevails and he's able to just kind of weasel his way to 15 after getting his ass kicked and just, coming out super soy. I could see that too. So I'll have to check the prices. Bellator, yeah, I figured. 850, yeah. That's probably fun for a couple dollars and just hope he shows up, rocks up a good performance this time. Talbott TKO. Yo, has that blown out more? Last I saw it was minus 190, and that's the way I would play the fight if I was going to do it, just because if he covers this price tag, it's okay. Talbott actually came in a little bit, minus 175. I don't know. I'm sure if I did the actual math, I'd find that this is a really square bet that I probably shouldn't make. But just glancing at it in comparison to the money line, it looks good, right? Like, you got to think if he goes 15 minutes here, it's hard to even imagine what that really looks like just with Raoni's chin and durability at this point, right? So I better try to wrap up these last few before the card gets going. Where was I before that? I've been jumping around a little bit. Okay. I'm not going to talk about this one for too long because I don't really know. There's a lot of questions for me. Grant Dawson, Diego Ferreira. Yeah, I mean, does Grant just get his body triangle and ride him out for 15? Like, if he gets it in the first round, he probably gets it in rounds 2 and 3 as well. And then he majorly covers. But if he can't get it, then, I mean, we all know about Diego. Like, it's really hard to hold him down, and his striking's probably better than Grant Dawson, right? Or at least in terms of hardware. He's a bit more of a dog. So I don't know, maybe you can get a good live betting spot if some of your questions get answered in the first round. Like, if we can see, is Grant going to struggle to get the body triangle, or is Diego cooked? And then I'm even willing to lay a big number if Diego looks like he's 39 years old. Talbott Raoni under 1.5. Yeah, I mean, Talbott's been fighting that way recently, but he's such a slow starter historically on the regional scene. Like, he'll just, get touched up a few times before he even seems to really wake up and start throwing. And, I don't want to like completely overreact to him getting that quick finish against Gamori. I remember I laid minus 500 against Gamori. Like Gamori had no path at all. Like at least Rayoni has some skill. Like he's, a legit martial artist at the end of the day. KO decision minus 400. Yeah, I think he's going to go for a knockout. It's hard to imagine he's going to submit a guy like Rayoni, right? That'd be pretty crazy. It would take something weird. And I don't think he went for that one submission on Contender Series. Is that what it was, right? But other than that, I mean, his tendencies are all towards knockout. All right. Next one. Okay, yeah. Co-main event. Cousin Umar versus Merab. So I would have, if I didn't see round 5 of O'Malley versus Umar, I probably would be betting Merab pre-fight here. But just that one moment of seeing the O'Malley teep kick just completely rock Merab's world and having him look so completely, like he wanted out of the cage at that point. Like it's a something, right? Like, I mean, we all know Merab's chin is really good. His recoverability is crazy. His cardio is crazy. But if Umar, I know they're going to be smart. Team Khabib, they're watching the tape. They're going to see, if I can see it on the openings, Khabib sees it as well. They're just going to want him to stuff takedowns, use his footwork, get up when taken down, throw the teep kicks, go to the body repeatedly. I could see him getting a TKO. I could see him getting any sort of finish. Like once he has him real badly hurt, it could be a submission or a knockout. So you got to favor Umar just in the sense that he's got the ability to just completely dominate the fight. Like I don't see a world where Merab comes out here and just completely dog walks him. But yeah, it's Merab, man. I don't know how I've bet on Merab almost every single time for like double-digit fights in a row now. It's some insane run. So I'm definitely not in the business of fading him pre-flop at big chalk. Yeah, I'm gonna look for a live bet. If Umar looks like he's slowing down a bit, it looks like the strikes starting to come off a little bit slower. I mean, his pace looked really good against Saeed Yacoub, who's got a really crazy grappling pace too. So I don't expect this to happen. And he's been the little machine for so long. Like the stuff of his training is, legendary talks or whatever. Talk about his output in the gym and all that. So yeah, it's hard for me to imagine he's going to completely gas out. But it's Merab. So yeah, Merab live bet if Umar looks shaky. But other than that, Umar probably cooks him, just a skill gap difference. And then main event, I touched on it a little bit. So does Umar get the KO here? 8-1. Let's see what the other prices are. Umar. I'm looking at fight odds. It's it looks like that took some 8-1 still at DraftKings, plus 550 at Bet Online. That makes some level of sense. I don't know. It's just kind of hard to imagine him covering in the case of a decision here. I guess it could happen, just steadily beating him up on the feet. But I think if it's a striking fight for 25 minutes, I think Merab probably starts pacing him at some point and makes it a dogfight. So yeah, I'm not exactly sure the best way to bet it. I don't hate a stab on the knockout just because it does seem like if he's going to cover, it's probably something like that, some sort of hurts him to the body. But then at that point, it could come any which way. We've seen Merab choked out, and we know Umar's got crazy submissions. And then main event. I mean, I don't think this is incredibly competitive, just in terms of like you watch the RDA fight, how easily he's able to land takedowns, get top position. We saw Drew Dober lateral drop Moicano and have him lay on his back, all bloodied up. So yeah, I mean, Makhachev's one of the best fighters in the entire world in any weight class, any promotion. He's got 5 rounds of cardio. He can strike. His grappling and wrestling is A+ for MMA. So yeah, I don't really see. I think Moicano's drawing pretty thin here. I mentioned, I think, that on FanDuel and maybe some other books like 365 and whatnot, there's some interesting same game parlays with the significant strike props and the total strike props, along with the Makhachev money line. You can turn minus 1,500 into like minus 175, which I think it's tempting because the only way I really see that losing would be if Moicano out-volumes him early, and then probably in the first 2 rounds, Islam gets a finish on the mat, which is possible, but it seems like a pretty narrow outcome there. Because if it extends past that, I think Makhachev pulls away in terms of significant strikes. I think kind of like similar to the RDA fight where the damage starts to add. He took that on short notice, but still the damage was clearly adding up. And yeah, so that's the full card. Nothing that I would suggest like staking tons of money on. Like, I don't think there's like too many spots where I think you're obviously stealing right now. But yeah, unless anybody's got any last second questions, I'm gonna shut it down. And see, I mentioned if you're hungry for action, if you just want something to bet, and you just go with the square money line parlay: Tagir Ulanbekov, Islam Makhachev, and Jailton Almeida. Just because if he's covering, it's going to look minus 10,000. So, all right, guys, best of luck on the card today. We'll do it again sometime.